Hello, welcome back, and in this video we're going to focus on the classes again. So let's talk about when you need to use the this keywords, like when we do setters. We want to use this since this is going to be your local variables and we have instance variables. So we want to use this dot bar to refer to the instance variables, and the bar itself is going to be is to refer to the local variables when you use this. And besides that, we can also use this to improve the readability of the code. Like when you do getters get bar, we can actually return bar like that without this. It is correct, but we said sometimes we like to add this dot in front and then bar, because we know that this is going to refers to the instance variables, which is when it return bar, it's going to call instance variables by itself, because we don't have any local variables to these things that's going to use the instance variables. But we can use this dot bar to improve the readability. So now this is the example that we talked about earlier, bank account. So we can use this, right, where you do set amount, this dot amount for get, and set amount, right, this dot amount equals to amount, just like that. Now since we have to set amount, right, then we can do this. So we want to look at more into expanding the methods on the bank account. Like we can do set new amount, which we're going to calculate with the interest or the rates here, to set to new amount. Like set amount itself not going to do the calculations, so that's why we have set new amount. So we can improve more, like adding more methods to this. Like I want to make deposit, so we can say public void deposit. So in this case we need to get the amount in to deposit. Now when we do deposit, then that means this dot amount, because we try to refer to the instance variables, and we want to add the its amount, its previous amount, which is here, refer to that, and then add to the amount that we want to make deposit. So when we total that, when we set to a new amount, so by using the equal signs, replacing the values with the new values that we saw. So that's called deposit. And we can do more, like we can do withdraw. So withdraw, so double amount, and then we start to withdraw the money. So that means we don't need to return, because this is void type. But if you want to return, we can do so, just change to the type that you want to return, like double. Now we want to make sure that we can do it a shorter way, like minus equals. So minus equals just like this dot amount minus amount, just like that too. Like if I want to type this, I can do another way, just like plus equals. So this is like you add up to the old amount, and then put it into new amount. So same like that. Alright, so if you want to type this out, this one also equality to, or the same as this dot amount equal to this dot amount, and can do subtract, okay, with the amount. Got 2. Now we have to pass it withdraw. Now if I want to start to keep tracking like how many bank account has been created, like this one is going to be zoo and tennis, so that should have a counter, so to keep tracking, like we have 2 accounts created, we can actually create a counter. Okay, now if I declare private, okay, int count, right, so now if you look at this, okay, if I do like this, I'm supposed to create getter and setters. I'm going to show you another way to create getter setters using Eclipse. You can right click, go to the line that you want to create getter setters instead of keep typing like before. Right click and go to source, and then you can see generated getter setters, right? So you can get count and set counts. Okay, you can put it, okay, I'm going to put it after the count, which is not common. We like to put it after the constructors or at the end. Okay, so I'm going to put them all at the end after set rates before toString. That's what we normally do. All the setter getters just go between the constructor and toString. Voila, we get a code out, get count and set count. Alright, so now, like I said, be careful watching this. This is very important. I instantiate 2 accounts, zoo and tennis. So if I want to print, okay, print, I want to know how many accounts do I have so far. I can just go to the count, okay, get count. Alright, so that's how you use set and getters. So if I do that, let's run this. It's going to say 0, even I create 2, because I never increment the count. By default, when you initialize this, it's going to set to 0. Okay, so I need to increment the count. Okay, where should I do that? Since I said whenever I create a count, it should increment it. This is 1 and this is 2. That means when I create a count, I invoke the constructors, one with parameters and one without. So this is the place where I should do the increment. Right, use this again. And this is the place to inside your constructors. Now let's see if this is gonna work. Remember, we want to have 2. Okay, so let me rerun this again. It's saying 1. Why? This is just the same like the amount. Okay, like for example, if I want to call the method to deposit, okay, like I want to deposit money to Sue account, so I can just say Sue bank account dot deposit. If so, Sue start with $100. I want to deposit $50 more into Sue account. I pass 50. Now, if I want to check the balance, okay, so just do system print line here, and let's see. I can do the get, right? Get amount, right? Or I do toString, doesn't matter. Run this. Am I supposed to see 153? That's correct. Which come back to the same questions. I said why count is 1, and since we want to keep tracking that there are 2 accounts created. Because when you create an object, okay, just like object, I want to have an amount, right, for Sue, which should be 100, and amount for tennis, which is by default is going to be 0, right? So when I do tennis bank account, you see it's 0 out right here. So the problem for the account is the same. When I try to deposit money to Sue bank account, it's actually directly deposit to Sue, which is 100, right? Plus the 50, and Sue happen to do some interest rates here, so that's why we have 103 out. Right, I just say set new amount. Let's calculate the interest rates right here with the rates here. So that's 103, and then make deposit more to Sue account 50. So I have 153 out, which it never reflect to if I print out my tennis bank account again. So this time I'm going to concatenate with tennis, then you're not getting confused. And comparing to Sue. Okay. So now I'm not going to worry about get amount. I'm just going to do 2 string to compare both. I want you to notice that if I make deposit to Sue, it's going to go to Sue account. It's not supposed to deposit to tennis account, right? We don't want someone to withdraw money and it's just withdraw your money from your account too. That's not right. Just like that, my deposit is supposed to go to Sue, not to my account. So the whole concept here is when you create an object, right, the object is going to have the instance variables that belongs to its own object. Like object is Sue bank account, has its own amount, its own rate, and its own count. As well as tennis, tennis bank account has its own amount, its own rates, and also its own count, which is count always gonna be 1. Let me see 1, right? As well as Sue. That's why we come to the question: how are we going to keep tracking how many accounts that we have been created? Here come to the keyword statics that we're going to learn now. If you want this to stay statics the same, then you need to add statics. When you add statics, this is going to make it stay the same, means it, when I add it to 1, it's going to be 1, right? And this is sharing between all the objects, okay, that you create, like Sue bank account, tennis bank account. When you do that, when you do the get count, okay, we're supposed to use statics here too. And this statics mean you don't need to, let me set count. We normally don't need to worry about set count here. Okay, just get the count out, because your set count always change from the constructor here. Increment. Now when we come to statics, we're going to need to print the count in a static way, which we don't do get the object name. Okay, we're going to call the class name itself, like bank account right there. Okay. And we can just get the count from their bank account. Alright. So that should take care, and we get 2 now. So that's how we distinguish the instance variables. When it's statics, that means we make it stay the same. It's being shared among all different objects. Like now if I create another object, let me just create on the top here. So I'm creating another bank account. So I have we have 3 accounts so far. Jim bank account equals to new bank account. Deposit 500. Okay. Interest rate 0.02. So what we're going to look at, we just want to focus on this one. This yes, this, to get the number of accounts. So number of accounts that we have so far. So let's run that. 3. See, and even you make deposit to Sue, if you not refresh to Jim account. So let's print it out. Okay, so new bank account. So let's run this again. There you go. See, 3 accounts, and those are 3 accounts. Deposit 50 only go to Sue. Okay, like if I want to withdraw, I can just call withdraw. Let's withdraw something from Jim bank account. It will not refresh the withdraw to other accounts because they're not statics. But if I make amount of statics, then that's gonna be a problem. When withdraw, it's gonna withdraw to all 3 accounts as well as the deposit. So let's say withdraw 100. So we should see the amount for the Jim account down to 400 right there. So that is the concept of creating more methods to use, and when is the time to call statics instant variables and static methods. So static method used for the static instant variables. Now another interesting method is the equals that we should have. Like we learn how to use a string right, for the method equals that we just do. Let's review a little bit here. For example, if I want to say create a string, right? Name equals to Tom, and I said I want to know if another name, okay, name 2 equals to Tim. I want to know if these 2 strings are equals. We pretty much can get to the method of, right, we learned this, right? This is the same thing that we can get to the method of the string class by just go to dot, and then there's a method named equals, right? Name, and we compare 2 objects, which is name and name2. Like 2 string pretty much is like 2 objects. Like string itself, you can just do like new string. That's just like create a string instantiated. This is pretty much the same thing, but string happen to be a special data type that you don't need to do new string, but you can do so. It's the same thing. Now when you run that, it should say false because they're not equals. See that? That's for the string. If I make it equals, so it's going to say like Tom and Tom, right? It should say true. Let's true right there. Now the same thing, if I want to compare two bank account like Jim bank account to Sue bank account, I want to see if they are equals. How would I do that? Okay, so now I'm going to comment this out and start to say system.out.println and say compare Jim and Sue bank account. So we're going to see if it's going to be true or false. So if I just say now Jim bank account, I should have the method dot equals, but I have it there. But let's try first and Sue bank account, right? So I wrote the code Jim bank account dot equals to Sue bank account just to compare if they're equals. So let's run and see what we get. Compare Jim and Sue bank account, they're not equal, false. They're not equal, we see that 500, 100, alright, 0, 0 rates are different. Now, if I want to make sure I compare this point, because they're gonna have like withdrawal deposits at the bottom, right around here. I want to see if they're equals, and now I'm going to make them actual equals. Right, this should be equals with $100 and interest rate is 3%. Alright, let's see what we get. It's still saying false, so there's a problem right here. Even I use the method equals. Okay, the method equals, okay, it's always, you always have it, other classes have it. If you read this is the pretty much like package. It's actually coming from the object class, not the bank account class. So by default all the classes, okay, they belongs to object class, so that's why you have an access to equals method, which you don't have an equals method being implemented right in your bank account yet. So to make this happen, you are required to implement it. Okay, so if you want to refer to your textbook, it's on page 329. Okay, 329 on Savage. Okay, textbook. So that's why we need to implement the equals. Okay, so and how do we compare? So first, the type should be Boolean, because if they're equals, it should return true. If they're not equals, it's going to be false. And we're going to compare all the instance variables that you have, like that. Those are amount, rates. Okay, we don't worry about the count because it's being shared, it's statics. We only worry about amount and rates. If both of them are the same, 103%, 103%, we should say equals. So that means we say return, but before we return we need to get something to pass in to compare, which is a bank account itself, because you're comparing to different object. So I'm going to name it other object, right? So other object is going to refer to a local variables, right? That if I try to use it here, that means like Sue bank account, and Jim bank account pretty much just going to access dot equals. So that means Jim going to have the attributes. Where do attribute of the Jim account is going to be this dot amount, right? So then I'm going to compare to equals to Other object now at this point is going to be pretty much a Sue back out, because passing in as parameters here compared to the amount of Sue right there, which you can also do if you want. You can do amount dot amount, which is referring to the amount of Sue. Okay, right, so that's one thing. You can compare to the first. If it equals, return true, right? So let's just test for the amount first. If you want to just compare amount, true right there. But like I said, in order to make the object equals, two instance variables must be equals, like the amount and the rates. So I need to do AND. This is just logic operations that we have learned now, right? So this expression return true, and have AND operators to ampersands to make sure that the rates also equals to average object, which is going to be Sue, right? Rate. So both of them has to be equals, then it's going to be equals. So let's test now. It's true. Now let's change one of this. If market is different interest rates, it's supposed to be false, which we see that is false. So that's how we do the equals. Okay, like I said, besides getter and setters to string constructors, you like to have more methods, right, as the auxiliaries or something that you can use, like for deposit, withdraw, and equals, something like this, right, when you want to compare two objects. Alright, and in your driver you can always instantiate different objects to use, like we have him, Sue, and tennis, right, being used by calling the dot operators to access other methods. So this is going to be something that I want you to make sure you understand, and you should practice to write the code this way. And thank you for watching.